that was really nice.
Did you guys ever see Whiplash?
No. What is it?
Well, welcome back to What the Podcast.
What is it?
I'm Ryan.
I'm John.
Together we are
Ryan and John.
On the couch, as always, producer Cara Tafolla and the lovely Andy Skovmand. Whiplash was a movie that came out in, I want to say, 2014. And it's about this guy that goes to prestigious music school as a drummer. And it's Miles Teller. You didn't see this movie?
Yeah.
Oh.
He's a drummer.
When he can't
He's Miles
hear?
Teller, and he's no. That's,
I actually think I have seen that one.
Sound of Metal. Sound of Metal, something like that. And J.K. Simmons is his teacher, and he's like this hard ass guy, and he's like on my tempo, yelling and throwing things.
I've seen it.
I did see the commercial for that,
Then you've seen it.
Cool,
so I've seen it.
great talk.
If you want to cancel any prestigious music school, we are canceling Juilliard.
I was just
for-
going to ask about this thing
Yeah.
that's transpiring on TikTok, Andy.
Yeah.
If you could inform me on that.
Yes. So there's a young fellow named Axel who lives in a very small apartment in New York.
Okay.
And he was auditioning to get into the acting program at Juilliard. And everyone was really excited about it. He had his audition.
Stoked
And
about
he was honest about it. He'd even mentioned it in prior TikToks that he goes, I keep on slipping into this English accent, and that is the one thing I cannot do in that audition. So then he made a TikTok directly after his audition saying, I did the accent.
I did the accent,
no.
and it was pretty rough.
Which
And it's like a
in
nervous
Juilliard-
thing.
Oh, I guess.
That he just
he was saying
an
like
accent.
it was like whatever the monologue he did, the like piece of script.
Okay.
It sounded like the character sounded better, and the like old English sounded better with an accent.
Oh.
But he's like it sounds better, but I know I can't do it. Like I can't do the accent. So he just
Oh, so he
nerves
he
kicked in.
can't do it. Like he
Like, you're
can't
not
pull it
supposed
off.
to.
Oh, you're not supposed
Or
to.
I think it's like tackier.
Because
If
I'm
you
thinking like,
can't-
why wouldn't you?
well, if you can't
if you-
get down the exact
Yeah.
accent,
Was he
like,
auditioning
Yeah.
for like an acting thing?
he was auditioning
Program.
to get into the school.
I thought Juilliard was a music school.
No,
They have
it's
different
all
programs. They're
arts.
most famous
School of
for-
Arts.
School of Arts.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he, which good on them that they let him know within that day
Yeah,
that he didn't get
dang.
in. Like right away they let him know. And so he did not get into Juilliard, and TikTok is revolting. They
Well,
are pissed.
I mean- He messed up, right? I mean, that's kind of it, right?
okay, you know what? Back off.
yeah, I need more
Are there
information.
like other
I think. So
TikToks
why are
of
we
like how
standing by-
talented he is, or we
No,
just
no,
like
no.
him?
No.
No. Everyone just really likes him.
Okay.
So
Big
that's
school bad.
But isn't that kind of an
Big
interesting
school.
take? Is
College
like
is a scam.
Well,
Okay,
that's kind of what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
The writing on the wall is
It's
that
college is a scam.
college sucks.
College
well,
sucks.
I just imagine that there had to have been like he was really talented because I feel
Yeah.
like sometimes the internet and TikTok they get behind these people and it's like
Well, I think
yeah,
at
but they
some
just
point,
like aren't the best in like they just didn't do well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like,
bad.
But I think at some point, in order to get an audition with Juilliard,
You
you
have
probably
to
have
have
to.
some.
Yeah, you probably
Well,
have to already have been screened
I don't
to
know.
actually.
Oh, is that
It
true?
is.
We have
You
a
have
friend
to-
that's auditioning for Juilliard.
Yeah, and it's Trevor Homeschold.
Trevor Homeschold. Let's call him.
You
Let's
have
call
to
him
send
line.
in
Suppose him.
an online, and you have to get to the final
call him
audition,
up?
and
Yeah.
that's when you actually go to New York.
he'll
Is the
answer.
final
Well,
audition?
let's
Yeah.
find out because
So-
Trevor's doing this exact process right now.
Yeah, Trevor, get on the phone. We're
We're
going to
gonna
talk to
get
you
him
about.
on the
We're gonna
Juilliard.
call
I'm
him.
gonna call him up. See
You
what
wanna
he
turn on
answers.
that
It'll be-
on-air sign?
It'll be pretty sad.
Oh, yikes!
Yikes! Wow.
You know,
I'm really
Amateur
disoriented
hour?
today, guys. I'm really sorry about that.
come on, Trevor.
Come on, Trev.
He could be doing a show. Oh,
Trevor,
Hey.
do you have a minute to talk to What the Podcast?
Oh, sure. What's up?
Hey, man, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great.
Good. Well, we were just, funny enough, we were talking about Juilliard, and we wanted
Oh,
to
yeah?
get your take on how the process has been for you as you are applying. Is that
Auditioning.
Okay.
auditioning?
Yeah.
How's that?
100%.
How's that going for you?
So basically, for my graduate school applications, I'm going for the master's, their master's program in vocal arts, and the process basically they had their whole application on their website that I had to fill out, and to be put up for consideration for their program, I had to send in 6 different pieces.
Oh my
Six
gosh, that's a
pieces.
Different
lot.
pieces in different languages: Italian, French, German, English. So yeah,
He's the opera guy,
Yeah.
if you can recall.
Is that specific to your program, Trevor, or is that normal for like anybody that's applying?
So that's pretty normal for like a vocal performance degree. Like all of my other applications, because I
Different
applied to 7
languages.
other schools, had a similar thing, but Juilliard had definitely the rigorous like demands for what they required, because every other school I only needed like 3 or 4 songs, but I needed 6 for Juilliard.
Wow. So how you feeling about it, if you don't mind me asking? Are we feeling confident? Are we feeling so?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm just hoping that everything gets better with the COVID, so that I can actually fly over there and do the audition in person.
That dirty old rat COVID.
But March 1st is the date for my audition, so I'll be flying over there and hopefully getting to perform for the entire vocal arts faculty over at Juilliard, which is just ridiculous because it's like the best group of voice teachers in the world. So
Wow.
That is so
Pretty
cool,
nuts.
man.
We are definitely going to call you on March 1st.
Yes.
And if you answer the phone and it's just sobs, even better.
That's for sure. Well, we're in your corner, Trevor. We love you, man. Thanks for talking to us.
love you, brother.
All right.
Bye.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
See you podcast.
Man, that's intense. So he had to have already been good in order to get to that final audition.
Oh,
Ugh.
yeah, for sure. To even get seen.
Yeah.
And I'm sure with like acting, he probably had to, have however many scenes, however many, and yeah, wow. That's a lot.
Yeah,
That's
for that kid,
That blows
yeah.
my mind.
Well, R.I.P.
Axel.
Axel.
Axel, we're in your corner, so it
No,
seems
we're
all
not.
the rest
No,
of TikTok.
you're in his corner.
Well,
who's in
if I
Axel's
remember-
corner?
Are
Because
we-
I'm not in his corner.
Together
No.
in this?
I
Guys,
pull out. 25% out.
listen, the pull-out method is
Good.
not effective.
Good. Pull out game is strong.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
All right.
Anyways, so if I remember much from Whiplash,
Okay.
it's that
Gosh,
I don't
jeez.
I don't think Axel even wanted to go to Juilliard.
Well, I think at
That
some
teacher,
point,
the teacher pushes Miles Teller so hard, like close to.
You're applying this to the guy on
I'm
TikTok.
just saying. I'm just saying.
What I
Maybe
love-
Maybe he didn't
maybe
want
it's
to
what
go.
I
good
love
he didn't
is
go.
Miles Teller probably didn't even finish high school. Like
Nah,
most actors
yeah,
don't.
no,
Like,
for sure.
and they're like playing some
For
kid
sure.
who's going to Juilliard. It's
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Well,
And
you-
he did learn how to play like intense jazz drums for this movie. So
I love when actors do that.
I
They
mean, I
go
guess
110% in.
I guess it's not that hard.
You were saying too. You said that TikTok is, Charlie Puth and all those
Yeah.
big time musicians are saying like, "Hey, I didn't get in to
Yeah.
Juilliard either."
Which
so
Charlie Puth is really shocking to me that he didn't get in, because truly, we were talking about this earlier, but if you put him in another century, he is a straight up prodigy. With
Yeah.
his
He has
Yes.
perfect pitch.
his perfect
Okay.
pitch and how he can
Yeah,
hear
sure.
tone and everything.
But if
But
he
is that-
has,
is that impressive?
I wonder how long he's had perfect pitch, because maybe Juilliard was like, "You don't need to come here. Like you're already good." He's already good.
thank you.
I don't know. Like, it's all kind of anecdotal, though, right? Like, just because he didn't get into Juilliard, like, he ended up being great. But, like,
But I think
don't
it's
know.
something in your brain, because like John Mayer, if you listen to his interviews, he talks about when people are talking, sometimes he doesn't even hear the words they're saying. He's only
hearing the
registering the
tones.
tones they're speaking in.
That's annoying.
Yeah.
So, well, and that's
Oh.
probably part of the reason why he's kind of notoriously an a-hole.
Jason Mraz got kicked out of
Hey.
AMDA for smoking weed.
I'm not right.
I'm in John Mayer's corner, so.
Hey, I'm seeing John Mayer soon,
We're
so
John
I'm
Mayer,
stoked.
Where?
I think in LA. It's sometime in March. Are
So
we?
are
So are we?
That's fun for you guys.
So John,
for
you
awesome.
can hang out here
Oh my gosh, we can
alone.
all go. We could drive together.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, the what the pocket? Oh,
Okay, well that's just too far.
So embarrassing.
Kara?
Buy a ticket.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sure, you can sit alone because we
Yeah,
already
yeah.
have tickets.
Yeah.
John, if you
Yeah,
can
I'll
name
sit alone.
3 John Mayer songs right now.
I don't want to go to John Mayer. I would want
I
to
do.
go
I don't
because
even
I want
like
to
him.
hang out with you.
I
That's the
do
reason I would
That's
want to go is
really
to hang out
romantic.
with you guys.
That's really romantic.
I
It has
love
nothing
John
to do
Mayer.
with John Mayer. I like John Mayer. I don't know his music. but- Okay, I know some of his music.
Hey Georgia, on one of my faves list forever.
It's called Why Georgia.
Oh,
Okay,
is it
so
Why Georgia and not Hey Georgia?
you're thinking of Hey Soul Sister. That's his other song.
No.
I am thinking of Why Georgia. But
That's fine.
wow.
So
fake fan.
whatever. I mean, it's all.
Yeah, no, you guys
What
have
was
fun.
my point?
It is whatever.
It's anecdotal because
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Right?
does any of it matter? Like, does Charlie Puth?
Does anything on
Does
it?
Charlie
and-
Puth matter?
And well, for that matter, does it matter? Does
Anything?
Charlie Puth matter?
I think that like
Is he really that good? You think?
I can't
think
even
he's
tell you
good.
the last
I feel like
song
you got some
of
energy
his.
towards Charlie Puth that you maybe
Well,
need to
why
get
do you
out
hate him?
here.
No.
You love his songs.
No,
what are
I
you
do.
talking
Okay.
about?
Okay.
The
Disclaimer.
What the podcast therapist? Come on in.
Come on in. Sit down.
Oh,
Ryan, why
Brenda.
are you dealing with...
Brenda, come sit
Is that her
down.
name? Is that the name we're
Yeah.
giving her?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She's officially been
It just
named
came to
Brenda.
me.
Brenda's a good
Go ahead,
therapist
Brenda.
name.
Brenda.
Go ahead.
No,
No,
we're waiting for her.
We're waiting for her. She's coming.
Oh,
She's on her
she's
way.
not a character.
She's late.
This is
Something
a-
about
okay.
traffic.
Don't ruin it.
No.
Ruin the bit.
No. I don't think it's not impressive, like, having perfect pitch, but I don't think that's, like, him being great. I think
But I think
a lot of his talent is in the production process, too.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't have an
Well,
outstanding
he writes
voice
songs
or
for a
anything.
ton of people.
why I
That's his
said
big
put him-
thing.
He's got to be put in a different century. Obviously, this century
Yes.
is not as impressive.
But that's what I'm
2
saying. If
centuries
you
ago,
dropped him
impressive.
into Mozart's time, like, would he be able to be as impressive as Mozart? Like,
I think
music
so.
looked different then.
But
like,
I think okay, maybe.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
But I think him and John Mayer have that same thing where they like just hear all of the different
Sure.
sounds, and I think that's what Mozart had. Like in
well,
a way.
he didn't hear anything, right?
I'm looking up
Oh,
songs
I
written by
was
Charlie
that
Puth.
him or Beethoven?
Oh, that's Beethoven. That's
Ooh,
embarrassing.
that's embarrassing.
That's embarrassing.
I might not know the name.
actually, believe it or not, also didn't get into Juilliard. So
Did you apply?
no, I didn't apply. But
I didn't
you
apply,
Didn't you have your piano teacher walk out on you too?
okay, Annie, I told you that in confidence moments before this podcast started.
I agree with you. I think I'd be interested to
I don't
see
know. And
the
now I'm like the
stats.
guy bashing Charlie Puth.
Yeah.
Like,
No, you're not.
Listen,
out of,
you're gonna
is
get
it, maybe it's
canceled
out
on
of
TikTok.
jealousy. Maybe it's like I don't
You
know what
won't
it
be
is.
him?
Yeah, maybe I want to just be him.
I'm
Maybe I
interested to
want
see
him.
the stats of like who comes out of
camera's on.
Juilliard and becomes
I just changed it.
successful in music. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because
Sure.
I mean, there might be a lot, but you don't hear that like, oh, I went to Juilliard and then I, made music that went on to be great. You know what I'm saying? Like Juilliard is a prestigious school, but like,
think-
is that the reason
Like,
people are doing
the
well
Harvard
in music?
the
you know?
Harvard dropout is almost more like
Here's
powerful
a
than
list of
like
people
a Harvard
who
graduate. Like
went to
not
Juilliard.
powerful, but like what's the word I'm looking for? Like
Here's some people who went to
valuable.
Juilliard.
Yeah.
Viola
Interesting.
Davis, Jessica Chastain, Meryl Streep, Kevin Spacey, Adam Driver, Robin Williams, Oscar Isaac, Matt Damon, Zendel Washington, Kevin Kline, Laura Linney, Kristen Baranski, Jillian Jacobs, Maggie Gyllenhaal, Kelsey Grammer, Andre Braugher, Christopher
We're getting
Reeve,
to the weeds now.
Marsha Cross, William Hurt, Anthony Mackie, Daniel Brooks, Glenn Howerton.
I mean, that's a
I
lot of
think-
people.
Yeah.
But I think at some point, like, how many of them are?
It's gonna die. Looks like.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, it's blinking red.
Oh,
Dun, dun,
Oh,
Sorry,
Think there's
I'm
another-
shattering
whoa.
the silver curtain here. But
That battery will die.
that
that
battery
pack
will die.
How
soon.
sad.
But I think at some point you have a good point. Like,
I
and
don't
we
know,
were talking
like-
about this forever ago. I think one of the
Yes.
first time we ever really hung out.
Sure.
About the kind of like, what is the
What's the point of it all?
this like performing arts schools
Uh-huh.
when, the performing arts, there's so much value in just getting into it at a younger age. And
Mm-hmm.
like, these actors like Jason Bateman, who's been literally doing it since he was like 10.
Sure.
And now he's this famous actor. He didn't graduate high school, but he's, been in film and TV and video and everything forever. And like same with music and stuff like that. At what point, like Britney Spears, when you start auditioning and doing things at 5, or the Jonas Brothers who start acting in Broadway
So
as
it's
a
just
child.
reps, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
like
or it. I don't
Look
know.
at
Yeah,
this-
like,
like the Sprouse
there's doing
twins.
and then there's training to do, and
Yeah.
like, did that put Meryl Streep further ahead than somebody else?
I think it's
maybe.
almost like if you have that raw talent where it's almost kind of like where your influences push you, right? So like if your parents are like, you have it, let's just go and get you started in it.
That one's
Or
not turned on.
do we
Yeah, I know.
spend the time and money and have you like get, built up in it before you go out because you already have this raw talent, let's refine it and then send you out.
And maybe it is the clout, and maybe it is the connections they made at Juilliard helped them get an agent and help them
And-
get their first
And
audition.
honestly,
maybe.
maybe it was just like, heck, like if you got a full ride to a college, like either you go and pay, pardon my French, but like a shit ton for
Yeah.
some crappy apartment in LA hoping to get gigs, even though you're
Of
really
course.
good.
Yeah.
Or you get a full ride to some school and free housing for like 4 years, whatever. Like, heck,
Sure.
take that. Like,
Yeah, of course. But
I don't know if
I don't know.
Juilliard even gives full rides.
I don't know if they
No.
do either.
Probably not.
How's it going over there, producer John?
College is a
Solved
scam.
it.
Sultan.
Wow.
Is that back on?
Nice. You might want to adjust the couch cam.
This is
This is something.
Couch
This is
cam.
turning out to be
What?
Couch.
quite an episode for the viewers at home.
behind the scenes.
The viewers and the
episode.
listeners get to hear.
You see how
It's on.
how
This is
the
called
magic-
troubleshooting. What we do is we basically
We just
just
You can, go ahead and intro what we're really sad about and what we're going to talk about today.
speaking of
'Cause that needs
creative
some-
arts.
Some, finessing.
I mean, Bob Saget. As many of you know, he was found
Dead.
dead in his Florida apartment.
It was
Florida
a hotel room. He was on tour. He was on a comedy tour.
No word yet on the reason,
Cause of death.
the cause of death, but
We were told it was not drugs.
not drugs and
Which
not foul
honestly-
play. So nobody got
No, it
Bob
got him.
Saget. No, he didn't get got.
He didn't get. Well, he got, but we just don't know how.
And so Annie texted it out as soon as it happened to
As
the
soon
What
as
the
it
Podcast
happened.
crew, and I responded with, "Okay, well, we're just waiting for another '80s/90s sitcom
Someone.
star, right? Because it went, as we know, it goes in threes.
Yeah.
Betty White being number one,
Just blinking. And then
Bob Saget being number two.
And then who else?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's
By the way,
put our bet.
big
Oh.
shout out to the tech department. They're doing a great job
They're
right now.
doing a great
Thank
job. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Oh, Annie.
It's hard, and you don't want to place bets on people's life.
I don't either.
And the last person I'd want it to be, truly, genuinely, the last person I'd want it to be is Dolly Parton. But it makes
People
me
are
scared.
making a lot of TikToks and like references to that. Like, is she ill? Is she old?
She's older.
Or Madonna.
I think she's in her 80s. Okay,
I
well,
mean, so it's just the same energy to
the same energy.
Betty White.
Yeah, and the same like love for her.
Wholesome.
Well, I
Yeah.
remember
She can do no
when
wrong.
Prince died, everyone was like, somebody check on Madonna, because it was like the three like pop icons were Michael Jackson, Prince, and Madonna, right? And so, Michael Jackson died several years before, but when Prince died, they were like, oh my gosh, somebody check on Madonna, and so I would think that maybe there's some sort of like
Yeah.
connection between, I would say Betty White. There's no connection to
Yeah.
Bob Saget, but
No,
Dolly Parton is 75.
Full House came out in the 90s and was a similar, like, wholesome
Yeah.
sitcom. Like,
yeah.
Man, maybe Tim Allen. Tim Allen, be safe.
Oh, shoot.
Oh,
Tim Allen, don't
probably
you
fine.
dare.
Or Tom
I mean,
Hanks.
60. So how old was Bob Saget? 65?
Yeah.
I was very surprised by that. I know I texted you guys
Caught me off guard, too.
because
Because it's young. Also, my biggest thing was, this sounds so weird, but so his wife was like in her 30s or something like that, and I've seen they've been all over my TikTok.
What was that?
Like-
in her 30s?
Yeah.
Hey.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Whatever. Who cares?
But
Who
like,
cares?
start decaying at 25. By the way,
yeah,
I
they
mean,
were
that-
both deep in decay. But like it was weird because
that.
it was someone who felt young because I'd seen him like make TikToks.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
like he had this like young wife and like now he's
He
gone.
was my first. He was in the first Broadway show that I saw.
Really?
He was the
What?
man in chair.
I'm sorry,
in-
he was on Broadway.
was
Yeah.
in The Drowsy Chaperone
Yep.
as the man in the chair.
Wow.
If you're familiar with that show.
If you've ever seen his comedy, the thing that was the weirdest thing is, and my dad, I remember talking about it when he got casted on Full House. I remember my dad being like talking about when he
'Cause
that
he's
came
so
out
vulgar.
because his comedy was known to be like the most vulgar thing, and he was like, he's getting casted as some like wholesome TV dad. What the heck? And so I remember,
He's something of a pervert, or he was.
yeah, I was seen
he's
as
dead,
it
but-
like.
Now we're speaking ill.
I think that my
new
humor
low
is
here on the
rubbing off
show.
on you, and this might be bad.
Okay, last week Annie told a story about how her father met somebody that's dead, Prince Philip, of course.
Oh yeah.
This is mine.
Screw him.
My dad got to hang out with Bob Saget.
Oh, really?
Yep, sure did.
What'd
Went
they
and had
do?
dinner with him. They just like chatted up. My dad has a high-profile friend. I'm not gonna say who, but whatever.
No
He
big
was
deal.
hanging out with Bob Saget, and I think he said David Spade was at the same dinner. It was like my dad and his friend, and Bob Saget and David Spade.
Someone
were
who
hanging
also
out.
has very
So it's
raunchy
pretty-
comedy.
So that it was probably a blast, obviously. But
Honestly, so
he
fun.
said the whole time he was like making jokes and Like, oh yeah, my daughter's hot. Have you seen my daughter? Like,
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
that kind of thing.
He was known to be like
Was this the New York dinner?
creepy, vulgar.
yes, that's the one.
Oof, that's not right.
There's some story of
Oh, sorry.
when Mary Kate and Ashley weren't on set, or when they were like in their school trailer,
Mm-hmm.
that they would put dolls for practice, like almost like crash dummies.
Oh
Sure.
gosh.
And he made some like
Doll jokes?
sexual doll jokes.
Sure.
Because this was a story that he told, I believe, on Howard Stern or something.
Sure.
Of course.
So he's actually proud of this, is what we're saying.
So he was like telling it. He was telling the stories. He's like, I was trying to make, like it's a bunch of dudes, like camera guys and stuff,
Right.
like trying to make them laugh and make some like pervert move with this doll, and all of the kids came out of their school trailer at that exact moment and all saw it. He's like, yeah, I definitely traumatized them.
Yikes.
So
It's interesting.
Like,
The flip for I think for me and maybe for a lot of us is seeing Full House, growing up with it, and then finding out about his comedy.
Yeah.
After
Yes.
knowing him
Me too.
as Full House, because I was
yeah,
like,
Danny Tanner.
that was trippy. I was like, what is comedy?
Uh-huh.
Did you guys
shoulder?
watch that show?
Yeah.
I
Like,
love
all the
Full
time.
House.
every morning
So
before
good.
school.
Yeah.
And he was like OCD about being super clean.
Uh-huh.
And he'd
Yeah.
always make jokes about like, I love vacuuming.
Yes.
He was just very
was the
like
dad.
dad-esque,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And then
But-
apparently all three of those guys,
They're all pretty
Josh
vulgar.
Coulier, same
Yeah.
thing. Like
Yeah,
they were
John
just like,
Stamos.
Dave
yeah,
Coulier.
it was like the most wholesome show full of perverts.
Yeah. I
Obviously
was
not
surprised by his
John
death
Stamos.
because first of all, when I found out that he
like-
was 65, I was like,
That's
he
young.
doesn't look 65. In my opinion, like
Well, in the 90s,
Yeah.
he was 30, and that was
that's
30
true.
years ago.
But when I've seen him in some
Yeah.
of
Do
the
the math.
newer interviews and stuff, he doesn't. He does look older, but he didn't look 65 in my opinion.
No.
But and also I was like, I think maybe because of Full House, I always had this image of him like not. Because as we know, a lot of Hollywood is like, it's like drugs and alcohol. It's like a very party centric,
roll.
right?
Yeah.
And I just never like saw him in that. And so then when I died, my mind, this is not true, but my mind went to
Drugs.
overdose.
Yes,
and then I was
me
like,
too.
oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
me
he's into
too.
drugs. And then I was like,
Okay, but
wait,
I mean,
there's
how
not.
often
I
do you
do know.
hear found in his Florida hotel room?
Yeah,
They
Yeah,
found his
that's-
body in a Florida hotel room. That means
Automatic drugs.
he's doing
Yeah.
meth for
Listen,
sure.
So
there's
I-
nothing good being found in a Florida hotel.
Definitely not.
I was surprised because, and I also think what threw me too was Betty White passing away. And because when Betty White passed away, it was obviously awful, but she was 99, so like
Yeah.
it was like kind of more, I guess like
You weren't that
normal,
broken up about
right?
it.
Well,
You didn't really care. It's
I
like
love
what you're
Betty
saying.
White,
Hated
but
Betty
but
White.
she's almost 100. You know what I'm saying? And so when pairing that with like Bob Saget, I was like, oh wow, he's so young. But then I'm like 65. I don't know what's young.
So maybe
anymore?
the next one will be a youngin.
Maybe
Maybe a young TV comedian.
That's
Because it's like 90, 60, and now a 30-year-old from the 2000s
No, I was
era
gonna say what's
comedy.
his face who used to host AFV.
Are you talking about
the guy
Tom
that used
Bergeron?
to-
Tom Bergeron.
Yeah.
And he used to dance with the stars, right?
Yeah.
That wouldn't make
What?
sense in the thread for me. If it's going from Betty White to Bob Saget, it needs to be an older generation,
So our next
80s,
segment
90s.
is who's gonna die
Who's
next?
next to die?
But I think that's saying something. It's like you always assume if it's like someone dies in the media, Hollywood, anything like that.
Why is it
it's-
threes?
Well, I always just assume it's drugs, or something
yeah,
like that,
same.
or
Sure.
alcohol.
Yep.
Well, and even the guy who wrote Rent, Jonathan.
Yeah, Jonathan Larson.
Yeah,
Yeah, Jonathan
Well, I was
Larson.
shocked to find out how he died.
Just
'Cause
an
I
aneurysm.
Yeah, just
You
an
assumed it was
aneurysm.
drugs.
I did
too.
I assumed it was drugs.
Wow.
Because it's like the New York,
Thing,
like
grind.
Yeah.
the New York, like I don't want to say media, what are
Party.
like arts, arts scene, like
artsy people.
you would just I
Are
just
more
assume
prone
it's
to
coke
that.
or something, and
Yeah.
it gets harder, and then they get found in a Florida hotel room.
Dude, I was like, so when I found out that people can just die from an aneurysm,
Yeah,
it freaked
man.
me out. Did it? You ever
Oh,
think
yeah.
about that?
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
when
for
I was
sure.
like a kid, and then somebody was like, "Oh yeah, like something like
You could
your
just
brain
die.
can just explode randomly."
But for me, it was when it was like
I really took that to heart.
That girl when we were in high school,
Okay.
like complained of a headache, and she died of the meningococcal
virus?
Yeah, that freaked me out because it was like all she thought
was
she
a
had was
time
a
bomb?
headache. Yeah, and it was time bomb.
Rough.
What freaks me out since we're talking about medical issues,
Go ahead.
You know.
is not necessarily dying instantly, but that you could have some sort of stroke or some sort of heart attack, and it completely regresses what your body knows and how you do things. Like people that have strokes and they don't know how to talk or they don't know how to move. Like that freaks me out more than dying instantly. Because I'm like, imagine waking up one day
and you can't do
and you
something.
don't know how to talk, you don't know how to walk, you don't know how to like your motor skills are gone. That would be like the worst in my opinion. Worse than dying instantly, I would say.
See, my thing, and I think this totally
Slow and painful death.
Yeah. Well, it's not even death. It's like you can work back to it, like back to normal functioning, but you have to relearn everything. To me, that's like, oh my god.
Okay, so you have two options.
Okay.
Two doors.
Oh,
One
okay,
door
cool.
you open and you are suddenly you break your back and you have to go through months of physical therapy.
Rough.
And maybe it's not break your back. Maybe it's like you have a stroke and you lose a lot of motor functions and you got to work towards getting better.
Yes.
Option 2 is you die suddenly.
Okay.
You're saying you would choose option 2.
I'm not saying that I would choose to die instantly. I should rephrase that. I'm saying that
No. Nobody wants to, John. I'm saying
The road-
given the two options.
the really hard road to recovery to me, like obviously I'm going to choose recovering because like I have family and friends. Like that's what motivates you. But I'm just saying
Sure.
at a very basic level, like if you take out all the emotions of it and all the relationships, like struggling to regain your functionality again is so not only is it hard, but it's also like really humbling. You know what I'm saying? You become so dependent on people again, and you have to work out of that. Now I'm sure it's rewarding. A lot of people that like have gone through it are probably like, you know,
it's probably not that bad. It's probably reward. Like the end is probably like nice.
Okay. Well, you know what I'm trying to say.
What about a coma?
I'm not
I would
answering
die.
any
No,
more
hear me out.
questions.
Would you rather
I'm
die?
pleading the
I
fifth.
would rather die. I would rather die, drop dead, die.
Then the coma?
Than
Or
any
then
of
the
it.
Oh, okay.
Because like,
Okay,
for
well
me,
there you go. Now question her.
Okay. Yeah,
Now
okay.
drill her
Annie,
like you just drilled me.
You
please.
have two doors. One is a slow and painful road to recovery.
Yeah, and the other one's death. I choose death.
You would choose death.
I choose death.
Right now in this moment.
Yeah, let me die. Wow. And that does not come from a sense of like, oh, I'm depressed and I want to die. It totally comes from like, I'm not scared of death at all.
Sure.
Like
too.
death is the easier route. And like, if it is like a medical thing where it's just like I drop dead, yeah, it's going to be so hard for my friends and family at home. But heck, if I get to go chill up in heaven with the people I've lost, sign me up. I'll see y'all when you get there.
So there was
Interesting.
there was a
Sign me up.
picture.
There's a real
of-
thing here. Hold on. Let's keep digging into this. Keep going.
Like I don't like. It sucks for you guys to
Right.
like to have to then fill another what the podcast spot.
Yeah, no, and we won't.
And-
Yeah, like you.
well,
I would hope that I then.
Let's not say
I then
anything
would
on air.
have a picture
I
of
don't
me
know
with a
what we
little
do.
candle
Yeah.
in black and white, and
Yeah.
and every time you go, and the
But it would
lovely
be
Annie
real this
Skovmand-
time?
Yeah, but it was
That
just
would
like
be
I would
funny
actually
because
be
you're
dead.
actually freaking dead.
I was actually dead. Yeah, it would be hilarious.
There's a picture of Betty White and her husband going around, and someone put a caption like, because I guess he passed away
died,
a long time ago,
He died like in the
and
80s.
it was like, oh, she just wanted to spend her 100th birthday with her husband.
Yeah.
Did I tell you guys this? Her last word her
What's his
sister
name?
released was his name.
Whoa.
Yeah.
She like took a big said
Yeah,
his name
the
and then
breath.
just,
Oh
But you know what's
gosh.
funny is. What's funny is
that
like
movie? Come
not
on,
funny.
Annie.
It's not funny.
Come
no,
on.
go ahead. It's hilarious. Go ahead.
But like, that's like a common thing is people like near the end. Like my Nana had that where one of the like last kind of sentences she talked about is seeing my grandpa like the night before she died like come into the room and stuff like that and like talking to her, and she's all pissed because he like wouldn't. She was like uncomfortable and he like wouldn't help her move in bed, and she's like complaining to my mom. She's like, Bruce visited me and he wouldn't help me and all this stuff, and my mom was like, why didn't you go with him? Like you should
Why did you just like
you should have gone with him. And the next
Jeez,
day,
oh my
next
gosh,
day she
dang.
did.
Hey, should have just died. So what
Hey,
about
death always?
a coma?
No, oh my god.
Would you
no.
rather be in a coma or just dead?
just dead? What?
I feel like it'd be cool
John.
to be able to see what people were saying about me, because that's the thing in
I-
a coma is that you can
what's
like
cool
hear.
About that, Cara?
I
Is
wish
you can
this-
hear that from heaven.
But then you can't like bring people to task on it. You can't
It's
be
true.
like, I heard what you said.
Come-
I'll
and I
haunt you.
know for a fact if
No,
Cara,
Yeah.
no, I know you will haunt me.
I'll wake you up in the middle of the night, under your bed, and be like, Ron, I heard what you said.
Oh, John,
Just drag you out of bed.
you gonna haunt me or are you gonna be in a coma?
I mean, if it's a coma, that's interesting because there's like there's a lot of unknowns, right? You don't know if you're ever gonna wake up. So I would hope that if my prognosis was they don't know how long I'm gonna be in a coma and whatever, I would hope that they would take
What
my
if they
donate
have
my
to
organs.
Yeah, I guess that's not
Like-
really. That's kind of apples to
I think
oranges.
that's way worse, right? Like, okay, Cara's in a coma,
Mm-hmm.
and then they've for 20 years, right? And then they say, Ryan,
Okay, well that's
your
a different.
her life insurance or whatever is gonna run out. Do you want to try to pay out of pocket, keep her in the coma, or pull the plug?
Nah, pull the plug. If it's 20 years.
Yeah, no, if I let
Ryan's like,
Ryan was like, Cara, what
is
is the? How long do you want to be in the coma for?
this is good. This is good. I'm glad this is
20
happening.
years. Like, you really think I'm gonna let you live for 20 years?
That's
Or-
Yeah,
selfish.
that's true.
That's
No, it's
selfish.
true.
That is
It's true.
selfish.
Your
Maybe
kids would
like
legit be
maybe
adults.
like 5 years.
5 years? You
Yeah.
want to be in a coma?
You were choosing coma or death.
I guess
what,
people.
would you
okay.
choose coma?
I
Yeah, I wanna know
because
what you
people
choose, 'cause
do-
I'm gonna drill
people
you
do
now.
go into comas for like 3 or 4 years and come out.
No.
There was a guy on Reddit that I was reading this thing, and he was like, "What did I miss in the last few years? I've literally been in a coma for 4 years, and I just woke up. What happened?" And people were like, "Bro, you should have stayed in the coma."
Here's the thing, right? I don't
that's
think
crazy.
I think that is like a 0.00 whatever % chance that you wake up from a coma.
Yes, after
And I think
that many
I don't know.
years.
People
I
do
think
it.
the only reason we think that it's more common than it is because we're more connected than we've ever been.
Well, because pop culture too. I
True.
think that's very much.
Grey's
And
a
also,
thing.
Anatomy, how many
most-
people woke up from comas and Grey's
Don't most
Anatomy?
people
wonder.
most people go into an induced coma?
Yeah,
like, it's
they,
on purpose, so
they'll,
they're gonna
put
wake
you in a
up.
Sure.
coma
Not
and they'll
necessarily.
take
Your
you
body
out of a
can
coma.
put you in a coma. It's like its way of protecting itself.
But I
when you
think
go in a
most
coma.
comas are like induced, like a medically induced
sure.
coma because
I
Is
think-
is
You're
it
dying.
is it coma or then it's a coma? ACOMA.
I'm in a coma.
A coma. It's not
No,
a
I'm
coma.
in a
Oh,
COMA
here we
because
go.
you are in a state
Here
of.
we go.
Ready? You're in a state of comatose.
comatose.
You ever heard that?
It's not a comatose.
No.
No, it's just
I was
comatose.
it was a coma.
She's gonna look anyways. She's
think
gonna look
you're in
anyways.
one?
She's gonna look it up.
Like a coma, Texas.
New
I'm
word.
A coma
currently-
Pueblo. A coma Pueblo
There
is a
you
village
go.
in New Mexico.
I'm in a comatosis.
I go-
Here's what I'll say. I
Please
think I'm gonna
say
say something
something.
kind of controversial.
that was last week.
We do.
I know.
Go ahead.
I think, and this is a different situation. Do what you want, obviously, with your loved ones. But I think anybody
thank you.
that keeps somebody on like
Life
life
support.
support or in a coma for longer than, I would say like a
3 days,
couple
4
weeks.
days.
Or, I'm being generous when I say a couple weeks. It's like you're doing that for you now. Like
Yeah.
Depends on the
it's-
situation.
It's hard,
for sure.
right?
I've never been in this situation, so I don't
same,
know.
me either.
A couple of weeks seems like a little hasty.
But
Really?
then it's at
I
some
don't know.
point, like, yeah, like at what point it's at that
I'm
point
talking
you're
about
waiting.
people
It
that-
depends on what the doctors are going to tell me.
You're
if the
waiting
doctors are like,
for-
yeah, you know what, Cara's got a chance, like, but we don't have a timeline.
or you're
she's
waiting
like-
for medicine to change.
It's
At
not
that
like,
point,
oh, Cara's slowly dying, and at some point she'll be dead, but maybe she'll wake up. It's like, yeah, you know what, she's just in this coma, and we can keep her on, and we don't know when she's gonna. I think I would like to think I would go a little longer than a couple weeks.
I'd say like a year.
I would hope so.
Yeah, but
Well, Cara,
I don't
do you-
know.
come on.
But
It
if
takes
was
longer
like
than a couple weeks for a leg to heal.
a big gnarly
You're gonna
car
kill me
wreck.
then.
It's like a big gnarly car accident, and it's like, yeah, we don't. She's probably not gonna make it. Like,
Okay.
we can sustain her, but she's not gonna pull through. Then that makes more sense to be like, okay, like we're gonna let her go.
Through
Agreed.
sickness and in health, Ryan.
Okay, the sickness being death, Cara.
Exactly.
Is the only thing till death do us part.
Hey,
Cara.
by the way, I'm gonna hold you to that 5-year
Yeah,
thing.
man. Okay.
If that
that's
ever
kinda-
happens, I'm gonna
5
say
years is kind of
To
rough.
death do us part.
5 years.
If Cara, if for whatever reason,
Till
had
coma
to
do
be,
us part. We didn't
yeah,
say.
like because okay,
Oh,
there's
did we
a
didn't
there's a
clarify
Grey's
that.
Oh, we
Anatomy.
didn't clear that.
Dang.
There's a Grey's Anatomy episode about
Mm-hmm.
they think that he's like a. I'm sure that this is not politically correct, but like
Sure.
a vegetable.
Oh yes.
And
no,
Definitely
yeah.
not,
Veg-
but okay.
in a, it's a
Hospital.
vegetative
that's a
state.
technical
in a
term.
vegetative state.
Yeah.
And then
that's right.
He is a vegetable.
Yes.
I know, but I'm just
Yes.
reacting
But
to
then,
it. Yes.
then
Yes.
like they, Meredith Grey finds out that he actually is in a coma and he can like react or whatever, and
Sure.
they get him out.
I
They
think
have to
I
like
saw
fuse
this
his brain or
episode.
whatever. Well, his wife had
Fuse his brain.
remarried and all this stuff, and like
Yeah.
had moved on, and so it's
Yeah,
like
but,
at what
like-
point do like. At what point of the coma state, or
like
do
nothing's
you
wrong. We're
move
just kind of
on?
waiting.
It's like
Do you
Avengers
sit there?
Infinity
Yeah.
War.
Do you sit there and you just
Okay, so how
Keep-
about this?
Or like Manifest. Ooh.
yeah?
So what happens, right? If Jordan, not she's in a coma, Jordan suddenly disappears.
Oh.
Because that's Avengers Infinity War, is that everybody, half the population just disappears. Let's say
Okay.
Jordan was to evaporate
not
today.
unrealistic.
But don't people realize that they disappeared? Like,
Well,
it's
sure.
different in
Yeah, they
in
disappear
Avengers.
into dust. Is
They
that what we're
all
talking
dust
about?
No,
away.
but did they-
Let's say
did they
Jordan
know,
dusts
like,
away. What
they
would you
come
do?
In
back?
front of me, like I see her dust away.
You see her dust away.
Then you know she's going to come back
Okay.
somehow.
Well,
No, you don't.
That's not
That's
necessarily
the
true.
whole thing, is we don't know the Avengers are gonna, and then they eventually do.
All right.
I didn't see the movie.
Okay.
Oh
Let
my
me walk you through this, Andy.
gosh, you're
No, I
dead
get that.
serious.
I get that. I just have one
Thanos
question. No, I totally get it. I
snaps
get
his
it.
fingers
Please, no,
like
I get
this.
it. I
This
get
is,
it.
by the way, everyone,
no.
for the viewers at home, this is a movie that came out in 2018.
Okay,
so-
I get it. I get the premise. I have one question.
Yes.
ahead.
When they came back, did
5
they
years.
did they know? Like, was it just like for
They
them?
were in
it
the
was
same
a
position,
second?
and it was
Yes.
just a second.
Yes.
Okay,
So
perfect.
Jordan came back, and she's exactly where she is right now,
But
and in the
it's
same
been
headspace.
how many years?
It's been 5 years.
5 years. Like Manifest.
Manifest. I love Manifest. So I've been thinking about this. Every time I go on a plane, Bobby watches Manifest.
Oh.
We always, every time either one of us go on a plane, we go,
Turbulence, we're gone.
I'll keep your stuff, man.
Nice.
If
I
you
will
disappear or
manifest.
vanish, I will keep your stuff.
Nice.
You know?
What
I
is-
would.
What would you do?
I mean, here's the thing. I'm going to apply it
Okay.
with a couple different lines of
Scenarios.
logic.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you. That would be great.
One, if it was like something mystical, like disappearing into dust,
Mm-hmm.
I would obviously like try and figure out what happened. You know what I'm saying? Like to the best of my ability.
Okay.
You know?
So you found out. So Thanos has snapped his
Okay.
fingers.
okay.
Let's say you
then-
found that out, and there's nothing you can do. The
Does-
Avengers are going
now,
to work
question,
on it.
Question:
Okay, go
Does
ahead.
it does like the Marvel comics exist in this
You
world?
live in that world. Yes.
No, does the actual comics exist in this scenario?
Yes. That is what I'm
So
telling you.
I
you would
know
just-
the storyline.
No,
that
no.
So that it doesn't
So
exist.
I'm going to say the Avengers are real and they're working on it, but you don't know that.
I would trust
Oh,
the
then I'd wait.
Avengers.
You'd wait.
Yeah. If I was living in a world where something happened and we had something like superheroes,
Yes.
I would wait.
Yes.
If she disappeared to dust today in this scenario,
With
I'd be like,
millions of other people,
different scenario.
then you
Let
know
me-
they're going to figure it out.
yeah.
I mean,
Come
that's easy
on.
to say, but that's a
In a
long
world
5 years.
where Thor exists.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
In
fair,
a world,
fair.
if I was living in the Avengers world, I would choose death.
I'll
I
just
like
kill
that.
myself.
Still choose death.
You know what I'm saying though?
That sounds awful.
It's different,
Yeah.
like in
Okay.
this reality, if she disappeared into some sort of like marvelous, like just disappeared to dust, then I
Okay.
would be like, okay, what? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Okay, so what if she manifested? What would you do?
oh, okay, that's much more.
Yeah,
real
that makes
scenario.
a lot more sense.
Yes,
yeah,
it is.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
that
the
makes
plane,
so much
she
the
more
plane
disappears.
goes missing.
She disappeared.
Yeah.
They assume the plane goes down.
Yes.
That's what they assume.
Yeah.
In that. So I would wait.
Bermuda Triangle.
I would. Here's the thing. I would eventually move on. It would be very difficult for me, but I always take like I would probably and realistically probably it would take me probably.
But
2
is this a
years.
world where we've seen Manifest?
Dang.
No, Manifest
So-
doesn't exist.
No.
There's
You
like-
live in the manifest world.
I listen to this podcast and it goes through
Such an interesting
the
scenario. I wanna know your
Disappeared
thoughts.
TV show.
Go ahead. Sorry.
There's like a TV show about
Okay.
about
You're talking about Left Behind.
no like it's like a TV show about true life
People
instances
disappearing?
Oh.
where people disappear, whether they like be kidnapped or just like vanish. And at the end, like maybe 1 in every 3 episodes, they
It's good.
like find out what happened, whether the person ran away on their own or they find their body years later or whatever. But I listen to this podcast that goes through every episode of it, and it's super interesting because there's like some where they find the person years later hiding out, or there's some instances where they find the person and they do a DNA test. They're like, no, you're this person. They go, what are you talking about?
Whoa.
No, I'm not. Like, and it's like, did they just, somehow their memory is
Yeah.
wiped? Did they like start a new life and
That's a
are just
lot.
acting? Like, there's just so many weird
So
instances
bizarre.
of people like truly disappearing.
Like head trauma, like jogged your
like,
memory.
did you just have like a
TBI,
breakdown and
traumatic
just
brain injury.
restart it and you just like truly wiped your own memory of
Is that what they call
your
it?
past life?
TBI,
Like,
yeah.
TBI.
who knows?
Yeah. I want to know what you think about that scenario.
Well,
Same scenario flipped on you.
Okay, I have a few thoughts.
You'd move on.
No, I'm trying to. My head.
This seems the theme of the show is you'd move on.
I just move on. Couple weeks. No, listen. I would want if it were
Okay,
me.
that's-
If I got
Here, I can
manifested.
drive you home again.
Thank
No,
you.
listen,
Thank
Cara,
you.
Cara. If I got manifested, I don't know if I would want you to wait for me. I would.
He's
That's
setting up his
humble
response.
way to be like,
No,
I
listen,
wouldn't wait
setting
for
up
you,
his
just
response.
wait for me.
If the alternative is you're this old sad woman that lives in the house and like waits for her husband to maybe one day like appear out of thin air, I wouldn't want that life for you. I would want you to move on. I would want you to find Brian and then just like have a new life.
Okay, first of all, that's setting her up for failing if she
ahead.
marries someone named Brian.
It's true.
That's
It's true.
so messed up.
Yeah.
Jeez.
By the way, shout out to all the Brians that listen to this podcast.
Thanks for listening.
Am I off in that? Am I sounding like an a-hole in this? As I would want
the
you
question,
if I.
it's
You
not
sound
whether
like
or
an
not.
a-hole
It's
anyway.
how it's.
Thank you.
The reality is, we know at some point most people are going to move on.
Sure.
It's the time. How long would it take you to move on? Because the reality is, would it take you 5 years? Would you came back? Would you be
wrecked.
single again?
If you disappeared suddenly, Cara, you don't know how I would be. I would be miserable for like 2 weeks.
I would be
Are you kidding
completely
me? Come
messed
on,
up.
people. You know me
what?
better than that.
Okay,
Or do
then,
you?
like,
So the
Come
question, what?
At least
I'm pressing you on this because you pressed me on the last.
that's fair.
thing.
That's fair. I would for sure. What did you say? 2 years?
I said 2 years.
At least 2 years.
I feel like that is
maybe a
not
little
long
more.
enough for me.
What?
No, and that's what I'm saying is I want you to only take 2 years. If I disappear, take a year.
and now
Take
you have
a year
this as
to, okay,
proof.
The first year is to grieve me.
Yes.
The
Don't do
second year
anything.
is to build up your your happiness level again. Like get over me in a year. And then by year 3,
I feel like the shows do a good job because the 5-year mark is, I feel like, a good
It's
mark.
too far out, right? It's
Yeah.
like not enough to wait, but at
Because
the same
like
time,
3.5,
it's not
4
like,
years, then it's like,
okay.
Okay,
Like they're
maybe
not
I should
coming
move
back.
on.
You think of it as Christmases. That's what I think of it. It's like, could you have 2 Christmases where you don't put up Cara's stocking, and then the third
Oh,
Christmas you
that's
just put
good.
some other
Hey,
random
why would
girl's
you do
stocking?
that?
Okay. That's you know what I mean?
Why
That's
would
like
you
you gotta
do
think of
that?
stuff like that.
That's
like
rough.
2 Christmases, you'll just wait 2, and then you'll just erase Cara from
Yeah,
your
that
life.
third Christmas, I'm like, I can't do this anymore, man. Like, I can't be depressed any longer.
See,
You know what I mean?
There's stocking to hang up here.
Okay,
Then that's
please
There's a
say,
clear
weird.
spot.
please say something to validate what I'm saying a little bit, like a shred. Okay. Okay.
Well, here's what
I won't say anything just to
We're
annoy
talking
you.
about
Thank you for
mysterious
that.
situations where like obviously they just disappear. You don't know if they're gonna be back. But the reason that I said 2 years is because my grandma used to say that it when you like lose a loved one, like they pass away and die, like you obviously see them die. It's always like when all of her friends would talk about how like when you lose your husband because they were getting older and get to that age, she's like when you lose your husband you wait a whole year before you do anything, before you move anything, before you get rid of anything, and she's like because you're like your whole like conscious has to like process that person is gone before you touch anything. I'm not getting emotional. I say in my mouth, and
Right.
you know what I'm saying? So then, but the reason I said 2 is because if you add the mysterious of like, she just disappeared, like we don't know what happened, that there would be a lot of more processing time for me to be like,
because you may
Yes.
be
what just
processing,
happened?
Like, did she just run away from me?
There's
Did she just
processing
abandon
death
me?
That would
and
be
processing
even worse.
disappearance. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my
Well,
god.
but that's like okay, so that's like this is wow. I just bring it back. I'm so morbid. But
Okay,
you bring it back
I-
to like the kids who disappear, and the parents are like,
Go ahead.
But like if your like teenager just disappears one day,
that I would
and then it's
never
like,
recover. I would
but,
absolutely
yeah, like and
live
then,
the rest of my life as a sad hermit. Like
how would you even
Ugh,
like
God.
at what point do you clean out their room? And you know, like at some point you just How could you even imagine that, right?
You just don't.
And
I mean, I can't imagine people that have to go through that. That
I
is
think
just
everything's just different in life.
awful.
Like, right? If you have kids, I honestly, this sounds weird, but I think if you have kids, you'd probably move on faster. Because if you're sitting wallowing in it, they're gonna copy that.
Little
and
Cara
you
Jr.
kinda,
I've got to take care
like,
of.
You
Yeah.
kind of want to like bring them up and like still give them a life, and you don't want to like obviously get a new Cara.
No,
Tara.
not yet.
You're not gonna-
I'll
you're
get
not gonna
Tara,
get with
but
Tara.
not Cara.
Not that close.
I have to take care of little,
Little Cara-
Fabio and little
Fabio.
Marcellus.
Marcellus?
Marcellus?
Yeah. Oh, really? So
Oh, you
now
like
you don't like the
Marcellus.
name. We just had a big long conversation. We agreed on a name in the car. Cara.
So
Wait,
let's tell them.
is it Marcellus? Marcellus is Pulp Fiction.
Marcellus Wallace?
Marcellus
Yeah.
Tafolla.
That's my firstborn son.
Marcellus Tafolla. That's what it sounds like.
I watched
Okay.
the movie.
Italian.
I watched the movie Beautiful Boy over the weekend. It's
Have you
with
seen it?
Beautiful.
why am I
Timothy
thinking?
Chalamet.
Timothy Chalamet and
Steve Carell.
Yeah.
yes, and I
And
think
he's like a heroin addict, right?
Yeah,
yeah, and it's
his
obviously
son
not
is on
death
drugs.
necessarily,
Yikes.
but the kid obviously is missing and on benders, and I think Steve Carell does a really what I would imagine is a great representation of when
you
you
would
don't have
actually
one of your
react.
kids,
Mm-hmm.
how it just is so hard to be like a father to the rest of them. Like he does it. And he like does his best, but like when you have that in the back of your mind that like one of your kids are either missing or gone, it's like it consumes you.
He's
And
a
I think he does
fantastic actor.
Oh,
I
my
love Steve
gosh.
Carell.
Maybe the best.
Oh my gosh.
Do I like Timothy
you watched
Chalamet? Not really.
But Steve
But he does a
Carell's
good job in that movie
amazing
too, though.
actor.
Yeah.
I'll say.
I love. You don't like the Shell Man?
No.
That was the first
Timothy?
thing I saw.
I number one, I don't know why so many girls find him attractive.
TC. It's this new wave of like anti-hot.
Like, I get
little shrimpy
it.
little guys are cute
And
now.
yeah, somebody is a
You know
meme
what I
that
mean?
said Pete Davidson and
No,
who else
Yes.
like
are,
no,
are like hot stuff right now. He's like, we're doing this all
Yes,
wrong, boys.
no.
Exactly.
no.
Shrimpy little guys
Some guy in the
are
gym.
hot.
But it just
No.
depends on where you're at.
The only shrimpy little guy that I'll ever like is Matthew Gray
I
Gubler
think I
Oh,
think
from
amen.
Criminal Minds. That is it.
I think
Amen.
people that are like
You're not a
consumed
shrimpy little
by
guy.
social media.
What about me?
You're not a shrimpy little guy. You're a strong boy.
He's like, forget it. 2 weeks. That's it.
2 weeks and I'm gone.
Disappear into thin
A
ice.
day and a half. A baker's dozen of.
Did you hear
Oh,
me?
we really
Into
went
thin
heavy
ice, not thin air.
on this.
That's fine. Did you know that meth was invented by the Nazis to make them super soldiers?
What?
God.
That actually kind of tracks a little bit. Is that true?
That's true.
Because like when you're on
Methamphetamine
meth,
was
you
made.
can't feel anything.
Oh,
right?
and they have footage of Hitler like making speeches and like watching troops go by and stuff, and he's like fully like got the shakes because he was on meth the whole time. Him and all the Nazi soldiers were just like doing meth.
Because is
Maybe
meth
that's
the
why he was so
drug where
artistic.
like when you're on it
Methamphetamine.
you can't feel anything?
Isn't that all
well,
drugs?
You're kind of like.
I think you're
They, like-
maybe thinking of PCP,
Okay, yeah, that's the one I'm thinking.
but meth
Never mind.
is gonna meth will mess you up.
Because I've heard stories of like police officers trying to like arrest or trying to like get a whole like
Oh,
of
like a meth
people.
head, yeah.
yeah, and like tasers
Absolutely.
don't work and like nothing works because they're just like can't feel it. They're just like and like so that kind of makes sense about super soldier idea. Like
Yes.
like they can't feel anything. It doesn't work in the same way that they were.
No,
thinking,
it just makes them
probably.
manic, and they're like, and you hyperfixate, and you like you said, like it kind of softens your.
Isn't Glorious
senses.
Bastards the one with the Nazis?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
When they actually kill Hitler.
Yeah, revisionist history. Okay, spoiler alert for that movie.
Okay, that movie came out a
Spoiler.
long time ago,
Yeah,
so
that's true,
it doesn't
that's
matter.
true, that's true.
Well,
Yeah.
Hey, I want to say one more thing.
That's a good movie.
Go ahead.
Are we rounding corner here or no?
No.
Okay,
Perfect.
Never mind.
I had so many other things to talk
Go
about.
ahead.
Perfect.
Good.
Like
No,
your-
you said
like
you
the
wanted to
puppet?
say
go ahead and say one
thing.
more thing.
No, not the puppet. That was just off to the. Kara, don't freaking.
We can
Well, we
see
were
the
talking
puppet,
about
Annie.
movies, and
we
I
can see the
watched-
puppet.
I watched another movie, and it was popular because Betty White passed away. But it was a little mini documentary made about Betty White, and it's called Betty White, the First Lady of Television.
Is it where
Yes.
she kills Hitler?
Yeah,
Revisionist
no,
history?
She does a bunch of meth.
Yeah, it's a real life doc.
She does a bunch of meth and kills Hitler.
No, but it talks about her life story, and obviously it was popular because she passed away. Everyone's like searching it up, and
Yeah.
But I want to encourage you guys to watch it, but also anybody that's listening to the podcast to give it a watch because she in 199 years and whatever, very close to 100, basically 100. She like trailed like she blazed a lot of trails for
yeah.
women. You know, she was one of the first women producers, and I learned so much just about like how, you know, in early days she had this little mini talk show that was 30 minutes, and she had this, you know, this singer, dancer, performer who was black, and in the South they like threatened to take it off the air because he was black. She lived through that time period. You know what I'm saying? And she, in that time period, said, no way. Like, never even considered cutting this man from her show.
Oh, yeah.
And she, you know, has been always, like, an advocate of, you know, women's rights and LGBTQ. And so I knew Betty White was a national treasure, but after watching this documentary...
Laid it all out for you.
It laid it out in such a way that, like, I appreciate her much more and in different ways. And so... Before, you know, the memories start to fade and the time goes between when she passes and when, you know, the next big thing in the world, like, take time to watch it and appreciate, like, the wonderful life and like, strong, independent woman that she was. Because, like I said, I knew what she was to the world, but I never knew, like, all the little things. And she changed the entertainment business for women. In ways that we will never really understand for probably another 100 years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It really is crazy to think of how far, in a really short time, like, truly how far women have come. That sounds so weird, but, like...
Well, think about it. 1920... 2 years before she was born, women couldn't vote.
Right? And then you think it's
Suffering till suffrage. Woo!
I was listening to a podcast about...
Anybody?
Schoolhouse Rock.
Anybody? Thank you. Thank you.
Right.
Sounds like our theme song.
Oh, yeah.
And you have heard
Of women's rights. And now we
Whatever.
try
Yeah, okay.
to reach
Fully-
new heights. And we all created equal. But that's us too.
Okay. All
Go ahead, Annie.
Small performance mid
Just
podcast.
a little
Go ahead.
quick mid-performance.
But I was listening to a podcast about Elizabeth Taylor's life, and they talked all about how MGM like forced actors to get married, and you'd have these like MGM marriages, and you couldn't get roles unless you married the actor that they basically contracted you to, and that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
Like to think that. The only way you could get a role is if you married someone that they wanted you to
be your opposite.
Yeah, for clout. Like
The amount of
what?
progress we've made as a human race in the past 100 years.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like in a lot of ways surpasses the rest of history, right?
Yeah.
Like we're in an interesting time because of that, right? Like
Yeah.
I feel like we kind of undersell that sometimes, like the amount of growth that we've done, even in the past 50 years, in regards to like the rest of human history is baffling.
Yeah.
Like how...
Well, I think also it's social progress and not like innovation, technology innovation, or because I think a bulk of the beginning early. I mean, you would know, you're the history major, but of like the the U.S. is history and also the world is just history. But we're making a lot of social change, which is very, in my opinion, it's more impactful than any technology that we can create.
Which is crazy when you think like how many, even like the Renaissance artists, or like you go even further back, like Aristotle, like we've been doing that, like we've been questioning social norms for centuries. Like why now are we putting things into place? Because of all of the progress we've made, because of the internet, I guess. I mean,
well, I think it's like, you're more connected. And, I saw it with TikTok, as much as it is like, can be a negative thing, it's also a really cool platform.
Yeah.
And I was watching this TikTok the other day that, showed all these classic photos from the civil rights movement. And he paused on one. He goes, these people are all still alive.
Yeah.
And like researched everyone that was taken in this photo. And it was like what happened to these kind of like white teenagers who are sitting there like egging on these, gentle protesters at whatever, soda bar that they were sitting at protesting segregation. And he's like, researched all those like who were 13 in like 1965,
they're like 70 now, like
right, if that. They're like
Crazy.
like 65. What? Oh, Bob Saget.
That kid's name, Bob Saget. Oh my God.
Saget. Well, and that's like what's crazy is like my dad has a clear memory of the first time, a black girl came to his school. He was in kindergarten. He has a clear memory of everyone like crowding around at the playground, and he's like, "What's everyone looking at?" He's so proud of this moment. He like walked over and he goes, "It's just a little girl," and like ran off and played. He goes, he's always like, "Yeah, man, like I don't know what everyone was weird about," but now he looks back and he goes, "I didn't realize that my school was being desegregated that day." You
Wow.
Oh,
like
dang.
What the
He was also
heck?
20 at the time. It was weird. He's like, just a little girl, and he went off to play. It's weird.
Like pushes over a 2-year-old on the way, like, "Get out of here, kid."
On the swings.
Get out of here, kid. I love your voice is always like 20s century.
Get out of here, kid.
Get out of here, kid.
Beat it.
What are you looking at? It's just a little girl.
Ew.
Bob
really?
Saget. Wow, what a
Transatlantic
creep.
is not funny to you, Cara?
Yeah, you're right
No.
though. There's a lot of progress, but what I'm saying is I watched that documentary, and I think, like I said, before society moves to the next thing, take 45 minutes of your time and watch it and appreciate it, because Betty White was something else. And I think what makes it different is that she like lived so long, and she's a part of our lives.
I certainly will not.
And
Is your computer plugged in over there? I'm just the battery guy today. I'm just gonna like, I'm keeping the show freaking running, and it's
9%. We're good.
Low battery.
We're good. How much time do we have left?
It's fine. Like 5 minutes.
Oh, we're good. We're fine.
Oh well. Speaking of progress,
Go ahead.
Yes.
Don't start. Don't go into anything heavy here. We have 5 minutes.
no. I just want to make a point that I have.
You got a journal.
Started journaling again. I started writing.
Okay.
And I'm actually.
That was supposed to be. We're supposed to notice that what you just did there.
60 episodes later, 59 episodes later, I have once again started taking notes.
Good.
I took notes on the first episode. And
Is the
now,
first one Alex?
Axel went to Juilliard, Bob Saget died. Death versus coma versus recovery. Those are my notes.
Okay.
Anything else we needed to write?
Betty White documentary.
Betty
Meth.
And then I just want you
meth.
to make a note, just a mental note. That
Go
way,
ahead.
if any time in history
Mental
we
note
need
or
to
a written down
no,
note?
written down note. I'm sorry. If
Okay.
any
Write
time in
this
history,
down.
if I'm in a coma, remember that I choose death
Okay.
always.
Annie chooses
that
death.
I could have guessed. Annie
Annie would rather die.
chooses.
Annie would like to die instead.
Got
Annie
it.
die. Wow, guys.
Annie chooses death. Wow.
I choose death.
Annie chooses death.
And I think you might have something said. Who's the guy who was in The Good Place who also played on Cheers?
The devil guy?
Yeah.
The demon.
He's in like
what's
the
his
mayor
name?
now.
Are you talking about the
or
devil?
something? No.
Are you talking about
No,
Lucifer?
come on. It's
I mean,
it's
I
the
got it.
guy who played the main guy on
it.
Cheers.
He was in Cheers.
He was the main guy on Cheers.
Today really takes a lot.
Was the Gilmore Girls in the
Ted
90s?
Danson?
Oh, that
Ted
was like
Danson.
early 2000s.
If
oh.
Ted Danson dies,
Oh, Ted Danson.
Ted Danson, you be careful. I know you're watching.
He looked like a different person.
How old is he?
He did.
Holy moly! I've only ever known him as
yeah.
That's like when
as the
they
old guy.
showed pictures of Betty White when she was young. I was like, who's this?
that?
I have no idea.
Like, who is this? What are you talking about?
Jeez.
Well, you know what's funny? And I saw someone. It's the hair in the Golden Girls, because you imagine them as like all these sweet old ladies. They were all in their like 50s and 60s when
Isn't
they
that
filmed
crazy?
that.
Crazy.
And then the Sex and the City reboot, they're all in their 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
And they photoshopped the Golden Girls hair onto the Sex and the City girl, and they're
They're
like,
like
oh,
old.
that's what it was. It was the hair.
like
It was the hair. Oh
old.
my
That
God.
is so funny.
Yeah,
Dang.
man.
Maybe that's
Well-
why we always thought Betty White was like the same age, because she always looked the same.
I really hope we didn't like manifest somebody's death. That I will actually feel bad if it's like
I won't.
an 80s and 90s star.
I feel like I
specifically
would-
Unless
from
it's
Cheers.
Annie, I won't. If
Yeah,
Annie dies,
because hey, you know I chose
No,
it.
I don't
if
think
Annie
Annie
dies,
chose that.
I will feel.
You'd be
pretty
like,
bad.
hey, you know what? If I die,
You'll
at
take
least
that
you
to
guys
heart.
can be like, you know what? At least you wouldn't want it another way. She wouldn't want the road tour coming.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
if
You know
you
what?
go into
She
a
don't
coma,
want
I
it.
know exactly what to do.
you go
Pull the
start
plug.
Go in
unplugging
there, I
everything.
accidentally kick it up. I unplugged it.
sorry.
I was at my phone charger.
This is, I have
It was
a
the only
question.
outlet. So
I have a question that may sound naive.
Oh God. Is it a real plug?
no.
It's like all the tubes and breathing apparatuses
turn 'em
to
off.
keep your blood pumping. They just take them out. And
But
So
it's
it's
not.
just
It's
a
not.
thing.
It's not easy to unplug them. For the record.
You could, so there, I would imagine there's some fail safes. Like,
Yeah, yes,
I
yes, yes.
definitely like when you say pull the plug. I always imagine like you have to go in there and like.
Oh, my phone's dying. Oh, plug it back in. Plug it back in.
Oopsie. Oops.
No, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think that they're even. I don't know for sure, but I don't think that they're even like plugged into an outlet. I think it's like a whole unit that they're plugged into. That's
Like a
plugged into
breaker.
the wall.
Most
Well, then
like
that's a
medical
stupid
things
saying.
that keep people alive are battery operated, and then that way, if like a power outage
Oh yeah.
happens,
So let's just start saying, turn off the unit.
Generator?
Yeah, turn off the unit.
yeah, kick the generator.
Disengage the battery.
But pull the plug is
on
so
my
like,
grandma.
Oh gosh.
you know.
My grandma's dead. Don't worry about it. Okay.
Here's mine.
Dead grandmas.
Okay, that's not gonna stay. I hope.
Ryan and John React. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the final voyage of Ryan and John React in its form now.
It's not going away.
It's not goodbye.
It's just
Simply
not going in
just
the episode.
see you
anymore.
later.
Yes.
It's going to be an extra.
Yeah.
But we are pulling the
Patreon.
plug
Extra.
on.
Oh my gosh. We're pulling the plug on TikTok.
Yes. If you want to see, however, more of this, we're pulling the plug. We are disengaging the battery on TikToks. If you do want to watch us react to things,
you
head
get it?
on over to YouTube right now. If you're watching, you're already there. So just scroll on down. See the first episode of Ryan and John React. It's right here on YouTube. If you're on Spotify, why don't you pop over to youtube.com/what'spodcast. And, well, this is going to be the, technically speaking, the worst episode of
Yeah,
What
there
the
we go.
Podcast
We got it. We got it. We don't
Just
worry.
We're
like in
getting it.
terms
Hey.
of...
Hey.
Can we be
Look,
honest for a second?
Go ahead.
I moved out. We're figuring things out.
We didn't even talk about
The technology is different in the studio now, so
It's
I
true.
apologize if
John,
you had a rough episode.
Really quick before we do TikToks, how's that? Your
It
initial
is-
thoughts of living on your own.
It's overall, it is incredibly liberating. Just for me,
Sure.
It is a momentous situation. Like moving your stuff, you think you don't have a lot of stuff until you're having to move it, and
yeah.
you're going, "Why do I have all this stuff?" Like it is insane. So it's been a long, kind of a week progress
Yes.
situation, and it's mostly because I'm not like moving it from one place to another. I have like the ability to come back here anytime I want and like grab and whatever. It's been a long process. It has been. In a later episode, we'll talk about it. It has been
sure.
incredibly liberating.
Because I would like to get your thoughts later down the line too.
Yeah.
Once you've like settled.
Actually moved everything in.
I feel really good about it. I'm really excited, and it is like this weird, like scary, nervous, exciting, and
It's all the things.
It's all in one.
It's
Yeah.
good. It's bad. It's ugly.
yeah, for sure.
Here we are.
Maiden
The
voyage.
final Ryan and John React
In
on
the
the
episode.
podcast as we know it. We're pulling the battery. Go ahead.
Disengage the battery.
Whoa.
Oh my gosh.
This is a video I took of me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just an amazing dancer.
Is it the sock because
Wow.
of the sliding on the hardwood?
I think so.
Wow.
We should send that to Juilliard.
He was just so good.
Hey, Juilliard. What the
He
hell?
was so good.
Get-
Justice for Axel. This mediocre
you.
student. Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, here's this
When
trend,
the cold
but
brew hit. When
you
the
have to
cold
watch.
brew hits, but you're 3 miles into a hike.
No, do it in.
When the cold brew hits, but you're 3 miles into a hike.
You have to be a Glee fan to kind of get it, but it's so funny. This trend is so funny.
Is it because they have to poop?
I mean, this
this one.
specifically, yes. Specifically that
You
video,
ever watch Glee, John?
Oh yeah, it was a total gleek.
No.
Okay, has everyone seen Encanto?
No.
No, I haven't.
Well, here is
you
a
guys
sneak peek for you. Here's a
That's our
sneak peek for
movie
you.
tonight.
No, that has sadness. I refuse.
Okay. It's actually not that sad.
Whoa.
Choreography's on
Guys,
point.
I'll tell you this much.
Yes, it was on
Encanto
point.
is lit
I will
as
say
hell.
I've never seen it, but I have that "We Don't Talk About Bruno" song thing.
Uh-huh.
stuck in my head.
Yes. So you need to watch it literally because of TikTok. Like,
Yeah.
there's so many things that you will understand
TikTok
now.
is loving Encanto.
Yeah. All right, here we go. When Hagrid
Disney's
saves
hitting.
infant Harry Potter after he almost gets killed by Voldemort.
Okay.
Okay, that's
I've got the magic, baby.
pretty good.
It's pretty funny, right?
Oh, I love this already.
Being called to wear hats to help with everyone's stupid mental health.
Good puppios.
They're so,
many good
cute.
hats. John, you're the wiener dogs wear hats like that? To
Not
help with
hats,
your mental
no.
health?
Not hats.
Outfits though?
Yeah, they used to wear costumes back when we first got them. You
Not anymore though.
They're so cute.
know, Miles, he wears this little hot dog costume, and it was a little tight on him, so we like really like squeezed it on, and he turned into a different dog. He was so much happier. It was almost like one of
like the thunder shirts, the like.
yeah,
it
it's like the
hugs them.
weighted shirts that who wears that? What kind of what do you wear when you what do you have when
Like
you
a
wear
weighted
that?
Straight
blanket?
jacket.
No, it's
Like
like
a.
Yeah, you
pressure.
fully
Yeah,
lost
yeah,
me.
no,
What are you
I get it,
talking
I get it,
about?
I get it.
pressure
It's-
vest.
it's
Is it
called-
for kids with autism? When they
yes,
they
yes.
have, like pressure.
Yeah, it's like.
Yeah, it was like that for him, and so it was really interesting. He was like jumping around, like more energy than I've ever seen in him, and it was only when he had the tight.
Yeah.
The hot
Hang
dog
on.
They have them
costume.
for dogs. Like it's a special thing if your dog gets anxious, and they're called thunder shirts, and it like wraps them up tighter, so
Oh,
almost
see.
like they're being like they feel like they're being held.
This
maybe
is
I'm
not
depriving him.
working.
Maybe I'm depriving him of.
It's just like
Thingies.
true happiness. Yeah.
I saw this commercial. It was like a Cox cable commercial. Have you seen
This
this?
is not an ad for
and
Cox
it's two
cable.
No, it's definitely not. It has nothing to do with Cox. Is these brothers? One was like in Guatemala and he was stuck and couldn't come back to the States to visit his brother.
Is
so
this like a true story that they
I
made
don't.
into a
I
commercial?
guess, and they made it into a commercial, and they sent these guys vests, hug vests.
Yes, we saw
Did you
this
see
commercial together.
I hate this
It was a
already.
hug vest, and it was like when they hugged themselves with the vest, like the vest would hug them back, and so it was like the brothers were
Yeah.
hugging over the internet, and they were
Yep.
like, "Oh, I haven't had a hug from my brother in so long," and then it just ended. Like that was the commercial. I was like, "What?
What is going on here?
And how is that? People
No,
are
it
gonna
was
buy
it was a
internet because of
mom and
that?
a son.
No, it was two brothers.
A mom and
It was our
son.
wedding day.
It's our wedding.
I don't know how I felt about that.
Bruno, no.
So I saw. Okay, once again, I know the base premise is right. It's like they all have magic, but this one girl doesn't have magic,
Yeah,
right?
that's basically
So
it.
and it's like you gotta touch the door to get the magic. I don't know.
And she can't get it.
Well, you know what? I saw it in someone like
A magic door.
what she did. But she like touched whatever you need to touch before you touch the door.
The candle.
And she wiped her and like it's like
know
not.
this
They don't
movie
even
way
talk
too
about
well.
it, but you see it in the movie where she wipes it on her shirt and then touches the door.
Wow.
And I saw some girl on TikTok and she's like, she wipes it, and then I guess her son or someone, the person who does it after
No,
her,
it's because she
something.
needed to end up doing what
But
she does
like-
in the movie.
But like something after, like the person who did it after her didn't wipe them.
I will be honest, the
hands.
logic is pretty
it is. It's pretty bunk.
BS.
Yeah.
But
But we'll see when we
great
watch it.
movie,
You
though.
know.
Great movie though.
Is it Disney?
Yes.
Yes.
I
And
refuse
music.
to
Music-
feed that
music
mouse
is by-
anymore.
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah.
I
all the
refuse to feed
music.
the mouse anymore. I'm done, Disney.
Both either mice.
Both of you.
John, any last licks in before we
No.
wrap this thing
It
up?
was a really intense episode. Sorry if you're were triggered by any of this
We
stuff.
pretty
we talked.
much our go-to is like
Death.
what happens when you die? We are really
How about
obsessed with
this?
death.
Maybe we should change our go-to. What if it's like, what happens if we move to Mars?
no, we do
There's
talk
that
about
voice
that too.
again.
Also, if you are not,
Hey, what happened?
if you are not,
Who was
um,
1920
I scratch it. It's
detective?
1920s,
man.
or it's like Jersey, New York.
Hey.
Like, hey, what happened to when we moved to
Hey,
Mars?
what
huh?
happened when we
freaking-
moved to Mars?
Give me a freaking
Hey.
plane on a Tesla airport, whatever. Forget
This
about
is
it.
divulged in madness.
Pizza.
All
if
right.
if you're only listening to this episode, you will not be
so
able to see that we
sorry.
are all matching each other.
I'm so sorry.
You two are matching.
Well,
Oh, and then we're
On
matching.
here, it looks like you're wearing the same shirt.
don't talk
And then we are
about
matching.
Well, we got rid of TikToks and we brought in matching. Every
Yeah.
week.
We're gonna
Yeah.
have a uniform next week.
Yeah.
Khakis for everyone.
My wedding day, da-da-da, and not the cloud.
Lin-Manuel can't be stopped, huh?
No.
Yeah, no, they
Not at all.
love that guy.
I-
They keep
I
going
think-
back to that well. You think he's
I
done,
think
though?
I think that's another episode.
All right, it's enough of that episode.
that's
For
Sorry.
another
next week,
episode.
I'm kinda with you.
Lin-Manuel Miranda. We're gonna call you. We're gonna
If I
talk
can
about
get
how
this pen
your
in the
career's
basket.
over.
What do I get?
What do I get? I don't know.
You
You tell
get to
me.
drive us to dinner tonight.
You missed.
Congratulations.
Bounce off the wall. We'll see you next week on
What the Pod?